From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live. And you know who I got in the house with me today? It's Wednesday, so you know what time it is. So let's go ahead. Without a further ado, let's bring out the man, sports radio, sports agent aficionado himself, Mr. Mike Abadir.
Pop, what is good, my man?
What's going on with you, Mike?
Oh, man, just living the dream.
Well, you know, we get some more budget. I have the guy ready to do the big announcement for you. Then you can run through the steam and the fireworks. It's like, it's Mike Abadir.
I can have an entry song.
Right. You know, right? You can wear the sweatsuit with the suit up underneath it. That old Sports Center commercial.
Yeah, exactly.
You ready? Yeah, you guys tear it off, and there it is, still in the suit.
Yep, I want to have a robe on top.
Okay.
With the sweatsuit underneath the robe.
Right, sweatsuit, okay. And then you got the suit on up underneath all that.
Exactly.
So, Mike, man, real quick, I just want your answer for this situation that occurred last week while I had the show on rest on vacation. What are your thoughts on Oklahoma and Texas leaving for the SEC?
Wow. I mean, let's talk about sending shockwaves, and I haven't really followed the situation extremely closely, but all I do know is that the SEC is already a power conference, but this is going to make them really be able to dictate terms. And what's going to be the next step up that they're going to say that they're going to be powerful enough to say we demand 2 seats at the table. You have to have 2 SEC teams in the playoff. I mean, that's kind of where it's going to be headed, right? If you're that powerful, you could demand it. Hey, right. We've got all of the big teams. We've got the draws. We've got the revenue. If you want us to be a part of your playoff, we have to have representation in the playoff.
Right. And my biggest thing is what's going to happen to the Big 12 now, because now Kansas was very loud about their situation. Kansas is ready to take basketball out of, Kansas is willing to get on the phone with the Big Ten, be a bad football team, but still have a great college basketball team and a great college basketball conference. It's seen as like the SEC of college basketball. So that makes a lot of sense in itself too. But then I say to myself, then does Kansas take Iowa State with them? So then you can have the Iowa rivalry. But then what's Kansas State going to say at the end of the day? I think what happens to those teams is that they wind up having to actually join, either say, okay, we'll go to the Pac-12, or they have to go over to the AAC. In West Virginia, I don't think West Virginia is going to hesitate to go over there at all, because they have a good old rival there in Cincinnati.
Well, here's the interesting thing, Pop, is that Oklahoma State came out and said straight up, Oklahoma is effing us.
Right.
They're betraying us. They're betraying our relationship, a trusted relationship for like 120 years or however long it's been. By doing this, it's not just a natural rivalry, it's an in-state rivalry, but they went as far as to say it's a betrayal of the state of Oklahoma in of itself. So there's a lot of political ramifications. Now you got to wonder, is this kind of a leverage thing? Is this just like a power play to maybe get a bigger slice of the pie from the Big 12?
That's what I'm looking at as well, too. But they said TV dollars, things like that aren't matching up the way that they want them to, blase. So, at the end of the day, that they want out, and they want to play against the best as is. And I think that Oklahoma will be able to be in there as a football power, and Texas will be in there as football power as well, too, believe it or not, because they'll be able to now they'll be able to recruit against Texas A&M. They've been getting whooped by Texas A&M when it comes to who's getting the better players in the state of Texas. Everybody should know this. Texas Austin has always had priority over these boys, and they don't have priority anymore. Texas A&M, it used to always be the split. Now they just go to Texas A&M because it's SEC, and they got the better facilities, the better everything. But really, in essence, they don't. But they want to go somewhere where they're going to play against the absolute best, and I think that's exactly what Texas's thinking is of it as well, too, because and you have to understand they're in a partnership somewhat. Texas and Oklahoma, they go everywhere together. And I know that wasn't the case in the beginning, but over the last 25 years, they've seen that they've been good business partners. So they're not leaving each other, because everybody has to understand that at one point, the Big 12 is nothing but the old Big 8 with the old Southwest Conference. And pretty much the teams that were left out were teams that are either in Conference USA, Rice, and a team that's in conference is in the AAC, Tulsa. Those teams were left out of that situation. Houston as well, too, SMU, because as SWC used to be the All Texas Conference. Mm-hmm. So pretty much, they hooked up with the Big 8. Nebraska's been gone for years. Missouri left a long time ago as well. So, it does really make a whole lot of sense now that, finally we can just separate, because the whole point of the conference is to stick those two conferences together and make it a monster conference. And you know what? It always favored Oklahoma and Texas. And now since you have these two out of there, there's no more. Now you're not even going to be considered a power conference anymore.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So what are you going to do now? Will you merge with will you take whatever's left over, take it to the AAC? But then these other teams have big say in college sports as well, too. And they might not want to take their program over to the AAC, who's still seen as a mid-major, but a power mid-major that you can do a lot of things with. But now if they're able to add 2 or 3, 4 teams, that team replaces the Big 12 as the possible group that can be in the title run or be a part of the New Year's situation as well, too.
Yeah, I think they need to revamp the whole system, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
make it regional or something, man. Like, you have a team come out of the West, the East, the South, and the North. Right. And it's less about the conferences and more so about a regional. We're going to get the best from every region. Because look, when you have like 150 schools that are competing for this and a 12-game schedule, I mean, it's kind of impossible, man. How do you do it?
Right. Well, they'll figure it out.
And I'm talking about football, of course.
Right.
Even like when you're talking about like mid-major and stuff, I mean, that's kind of like basketball language.
Right. Basketball is different because there's going to be a team that's going to pop out that's going to not be in those power conferences that are going to be really good, that can beat all those teams in those power conferences, i.e. Gonzaga, that can do that. So pretty much basketball is much different than the football element of things because football has to really be structured. And I think that all in all, as long as the Big Ten and SEC and ACC are intact and the Pac-12 are intact, we should be fine because those 4 conferences were the major conferences before. And pretty much what happens with this situation is that, the one that was the creative conference is out of the loop now. It's that simple, Mike. It's out of here. You know what I mean? and we'll just go back to how it used to be.
Pretty
So
much.
it is what it is, and you add in the AAC as what the old Conference USA used to be. Because everybody forgets about the old Conference USA, the old home of Cincinnati, Louisville, Virginia, or West Virginia. The list goes on, and those schools left out for the Big East. The Big East has been dissolved for years, so it is what it is. But we digress. It was really supposed to be a short answer question, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it as well too, Mike. Let's go ahead and get into this NBA craziness, the free agency. As you can see, I know you were waiting for me to put the Lakers up there, but we're not homering over here, Mike. Okay, we'll talk about the Lakers, and we'll have a whole bunch of time to talk about the Lakers. Lakers did some great things this week. They did some sketchy things this week, but all in all, the Lakers have put themselves together make the third situation for LeBron James. At first we had a youth movement. LeBron wanted to be a part of that. Then all of a sudden he didn't want to be a part of that. Then we brought in a bunch of guys that should help him win a championship. And that was headlined by AD, a guy who was probably at the best of the best at that moment in prime condition. He had a lot of time off from not having to play for New Orleans, making sure that he didn't get hurt. So, he was a little kind of fresh, you know what I mean? And then as things work itself out, then pretty much, he gets AD becomes AD, a guy who's very injury plagued. And then the Lakers thought that they could go ahead and have another brand new team for the third year in a row. They swap out Rondo for Schroeder. They swap out Dwight Howard for Marc Gasol. They get a mid-season pickup in Drummond, thinking that they were going to be able to get themselves a very, very significant player in the NBA as somewhat of a big three with AD and LeBron, and that was always a nice dream, you know what I mean? Because Drummond is not a big three guy. Drummond is barely just is really just a very high-end role player at best, you know what I mean? You can't ask that guy to be a star. And there was a lot of changes, but the core group was still there, and now that core group is absolutely gone. Now it's all about LeBron. It's LeBron and LeBron's crew. I have some mixed thoughts about that, but you know what? We got plenty of time to talk about it because I've been talking about them a lot. But I do like the Malik Monk pickup, and I do love the fact that Carmelo Anthony gets to play with his boy, with Mr. James. And, pretty much rehash those things. And now that 2004 picture of those guys back in the day at the All-Star game really makes a whole lot of sense now. Now they were in Staples Center taking those pictures. Now they're about to be in Staples Center wearing those Laker jerseys. And, the Lakers were the team at that time. They still had Shaq and Kobe together. So, the Lakers were a big, big deal at that time. And when you saw those bright stars, you always told yourself it would be great to see them in some Lakers. And now they're Lakers. So, it should be good. It should be good, Mike. And
a little late if you ask me, but
I know what you're thinking. You like the old guys at the park want next.
A little late if you ask me, but I'm not really big on late career uniform changes. I didn't like it when I saw GP and Karl Malone and all those guys in Lakers gear. What year was that when Malone and Gary Payton and all them?
04.
I don't like it, man. The glove, that's a Supersonics guy, man. Yeah. Malone, that's the Utah Jazz. So, most of the time these kind of things just don't work out. That's just my take on it. So to me, it's kind of a whatever. I think the Lakers have not made some great moves over the last few days.
Well, I'm just gonna let you know Malik Monk's a great player, and I know what you're thinking. Kent Bazemore, Wayne Ellington, these were guys that were on the scrub Lakers with Kobe. You know what I mean? Where the Lakers were just absolutely not good at all. So we're familiar with those guys. Then you bring in Dwight Howard for the third time. But Dwight Howard plays the Dennis Rodman role in a sense. It's okay. I know that they want to be the third correspondent today and everything like that.
I know. I keep muting, and that's why I kind of keep looking at the corner of my eye, man. There's 3 dogs over here, and they're wanting to be part of the show.
They all want to. They all have an opinion as well too. I know that one dog is like talk about Russ.
Well, look, man. There's a Laker fan, there's a Sacramento Kings fan, and then there's a Raiders fan. And he's like, forget about this basketball talk. I want to talk about the Raiders because his name actually is Raider.
The Kings fan is feeling really bad right now because there's nobody even talking about. I said we got all these free agents running to places. I said Sacramento ain't getting no love at all with the free agent market. Only thing Sacramento can worry about is a re-sign. That's it. And I guess you're talking to the Raider fan like, no season ticket, no, you're not going to the opener. $800, Mike, to watch the Raiders in Vegas on opening night. And this is the 300.
I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that they're not going to have to limit capacity and all that stuff,
300 section, Mike, for $800. I don't think so. I don't care. That's the type of game where you be sitting at the vending, the food concessions all game.
Who are they playing opening day anyways? I haven't even looked.
The Ravens, Monday Night Football.
Should be a fun game. I just I don't know if they're even going to be able to have a full stadium at that point in time, man. Like, who knows, man? There might be limited capacity, or only the Lord knows, man.
Money's talking, Mike. Money's talking, Mike.
Yeah, but you know what, man? The politicians have made it really clear that they don't care about you and I's money and anybody else's money unless it's going into their contributions for their campaigns.
We'll be fine, Mike. That's how.
Hope so.
We'll be fine. You're already 2 feet in the pool. You can't get out. You're already in the deep end. You can't get out. Sorry. You can't get out. Sorry. You can't go backwards. You got to only move forward, Mike. Let's be positive. But let's talk about the Nets making these moves, though. You got the Nets picking up Patty Mills. They re-signed Blake. And they also brought in James Johnson, who is a Rodman type as well, too, on the physical atmosphere. He's one of the guys in the NBA that can actually kick somebody's butt, like seriously kick somebody's butt. He's an MMA guy. And he's not an MMA, I train MMA, man. He's 3-0 in MMA fights. He could have actually been a UFC star if he wanted to, but he chose to be a basketball player. So pretty much he brings a lot of toughness to the Nets as well, too. That's a great pickup for the Nets. And am I missing anybody? Because the Nets are picking up a lot of players just like the Lakers, but they're maybe not making as many news headlines, but they are picking up who a lot of people thought were the better players on the market.
Does that translate into winning a championship?
No, because you have to be healthy. And that's the biggest vice for the Brooklyn Nets is being healthy. KD's going to miss at least 20% of the games next year. Kyrie's going to miss at least 50% of the games next year. And then you got Harden. You never know. Harden could play a whole 82, but you got to make sure he's all the way 100% healthy. Because Harden plays with injuries a lot. A lot of people have to understand that part about Harden. When he's not cooking the way that he be cooking, it's because he's hurt. And he's probably the one guy that Brooklyn can depend on in a sense to where he'll want to come out every single night for you. But when you got Durant's always going to be bothered by that leg situation, and Kyrie is always a head case. It's that simple. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say is he's a head case. All right.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you said it's well said, man. He is a head case.
Right.
He's kind of guy that'll be like, hey, I'm not playing for the next 3 weeks because I'm expecting aliens are going to land in Washington, D.C. I mean, that's the kind of guy that Kyrie is. And from my perspective, he's just like one of those guys that's out there. And 1 week he's like a social justice fighter. And another week he's like, I don't care about money. And another week he's like, I'm all about the team. It's like he marches to the beat of his own drummer. Durant, on the other hand, I mean, nobody could question his, commitment to the game mean, the guy's an MVP for God's sakes, but his issue has been availability. So they'll take in a lot of money as favorites, and I don't know if they're going to do anything. So that's kind of my take on the Nets. And here's a quick take from me on basketball in general. So when you're talking about the NBA, there are guys that'll go their whole careers with a lot of accolades, a lot of all-star games, and no rings. And there's people that I love, like Karl Malone. I really do love Karl Malone, but he's in that category. Charles Barkley's in that category. In today's age, I think Harden is in that category, and Westbrook is in that category. CP3 is in that category. These guys are going to go their whole careers and not win the coveted championship. They've been there. They've had opportunities. They haven't been able to make it happen for whatever reason. And I think all those guys that I mentioned are going to retire not having a ring. Durant does have a ring. And Kyrie obviously has been to the finals, with the Cavs. And it was very telling to me that it was kind of like not completely analogous to the Kobe and Shaq situation. But whenever I look at those things, the Batmans and the Robins, I always think to myself, well, Pippen and Jordan made it work. Maybe after the fact, we're finding out there's some resentment and stuff. But at the end of the day, I'd rather be an NBA player that has some resentment, but has 6 rings, like Jordan and Pippen, than to break it up and go elsewhere and never to win another one again.
Right.
I mean, Kobe's lucky that they were able to win. It was a down NBA. Remember those couple of years? They won one. The Celtics won one. Those are probably like some of the worst championship teams that we've seen win in a long time. Don't get me wrong. I like them. They were fun teams to watch, both the Celtics and the Lakers, but nobody's sitting here arguing that they're all-time great teams.
Right, but the Celtics did have some players, though.
They did have some players.
On the other hand, the Lakers really, once you got past about the 7th player on the roster, it was like, okay, I couldn't take these guys down to 24-hour fitness and win a game. You know what I mean? Like, seriously.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess my point is I'm glad that Kobe was able to win during that down NBA year or two time span, because otherwise it would have been kind of a shame that he would have been the reason that they broke up the Shaq, Kobe, Lakers, which could have gone on to win another 3 or 4 more titles. And had he not won that one, it would have been a really big black eye on him. I still think it is. I still think that he should have made it work. You don't have to be the guy. You could be one of the guys. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody thinks any less of Pippen. The only reason people think less of Pippen now is because of what Pippen's doing today in 2021, not anything that he did in 1997. You know what I mean?
Right. And the piggyback off that point is I know exactly what you said, Mike, because by the time Shaq got to the second year with Wade in Miami, he realized that he can't be the number one anymore. The way that the rules were set up. And you know what? He had to wait for Shaq to realize that situation. But see, that's the difference between Shaq and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar knew by the time Magic stepped in and was doing the Magic show and all this good stuff that, I'm going to let him get the reins and things. This is actually going to be better for me because then I could just go post up. I can go do my own little thing over here on the side, and I'll let Magic take all the pressure. But, Kobe didn't have that type of mentality when it came down to it. Kobe wanted to make it about Kobe right now, Shaq, I ain't your little brother. Then stop, be serious about this. You're not serious enough to be the number one, blah, 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 blah. And then, you know what? Just impatience. That's all it is. And if you wait a year or two, then he says to himself, okay, let the young fella do what he got to do. Because even management would have came to Shaq and said that we need you to take 2 steps back real quick. But at the end of the day, also, there's other things that were in that situation. You can't fully blame Kobe. Shaq did kind of write his own way out of LA as well, too, because he shouldn't have never challenged Jerry Buss, with the coolest owner in all of sports. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have been telling the man, where's my money at in Hawaii, while he playing in a preseason game. And then you had Jerry go get real petty and go look into the books and see exactly how many games Shaq played and how much they were paying him over time. And then you started looking up and saying, you know what, I kind of ripped myself off with you. You know what I mean? I'm giving you $27 million a year, but you're only giving me 52 games per season. They looked at everything Shaq had done. It was all good and well. They went to championships, things like that, but he wasn't paying for the full clip. You know what I mean? He was paying for half a season every year with Shaq in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so when you look at that, and you got Kobe out here busting his ass every day, 82 games and playing 82 games, you know, even with the situation in Colorado, he still was showing up to the games every night. And, you know, pretty much Kobe was able to get 2 monster contracts from the Lakers because of the sacrifices he put in to be available constantly. You know what I mean? So that's where, you know, pretty much where Kobe wins out at the end of the day with that situation. Because Shaq could have easily stayed, but when you look at all the stuff, everything intact. Mike, come on, you worked in the internal for a pro team with the Raiders, and with the boss needs you to go look into some things about how we're paying this guy and how much we're paying this guy. Then boom, there it is. You got your answers right there, and then I already know you guys are doing a big meeting. You know, pretty much at the end of the day to say, okay, should we move forward or should we just let him go? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what happens, because people have to understand the organizations are trying to think 3 steps ahead of everybody else. So they have an idea of where guys' windows at. They have an idea of what they can afford, things like that. That's what makes baseball so beautiful, is because once they know that they can't afford you, they're not even going to hesitate. Go ahead and get in the market. We did arbitration with you earlier.
Yep.
In your career. That worked out for us. It was in our favor. But now you want to go get real paid. I got 5 other guys over here that I really got to pay, and I don't think that you're going to equate to the same type of talent they will be in the coming years. So we'll go ahead and help you out by getting you to another destination. So that's how I look at it as well too. And I think that the Nets, all in all, have added the right type of depth for their team. But once again, where are you guys going to go? Because Steve Nash is a very inexperienced coach. And that show from losing the Bucks series, that's Budenholzer just outcoached him at the end of that series. That's all that was.
100%.
So pretty much now you got Steve Nash there, and you got to keep adding really great players to really try to get this thing over the top, because coaching is not going to help you. These guys are really coaching themselves. So it is what it is at the end of the day.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So, yeah. And so pretty much, man, it's funny. Somebody left a comment as well, too. I put it up here. O'Neal is lots of laughs. O'Neal is crazy. Yeah, Shaq was crazy. And you see, that's the difference. You see, Kobe always was a Laker, and Dwayne Wade was always a Heat. You notice everybody he teamed up with were always very committed to their team. You know what I mean? And they were rewarded by it. Shaq was damn near just became the Shaq show. Just now Shaq's in your neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Well, but to his credit though, look how many teams got to his finals after he left the Lakers.
Yeah, one.
No, he won one, but he also got there with the Cavs.
No, they didn't. Never with the Cavs. They fell short. Never with the Cavs. It was too early, Mike.
Because I'm gonna have to do some.
You might have to look that one up, because I think he was still in Phoenix in 2007. I think he came in 2008, right before LeBron was about to leave Cleveland.
All right, we'll take a look at that during the commercial.
Right,
break.
Because Shaq barely played when he was in Cleveland. Barely played when he was in Boston too. Because he went to Boston a year that they lost to, and Orlando made the finals.
All right,
he was there for that.
We'll have to look this up here.
Yeah, we'll look into it. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our next topic. We are moving. This show is the time is moving fast, but we ain't moving fast.
Exactly. Right. Why don't you start us off on this? Because I'm going to be right back in 1 second. I need to restrain these canines real quick.
Okay.
Give me 1 second here, and I'll segue back into this conversation.
Okay, Mike. Hopefully you don't have to go over it. I better not hear no beat sticks and things like that. I'm gonna remove you,
Heck, with these guys, man, I hope I don't have any bite marks on my hands.
Okay, you bet you got. Hopefully, you got your secretariat whoop out. I got cha. All right, I'm gonna remove you real quick so we don't see any dog abuse on the show. All right, so we got the Miami Heat. Miami is doing the damn thing, though, when it comes to free agency. They are bringing in a lot of really good players to go against the stacked East. I think that Miami and Brooklyn are really in the middle of an arms war somewhat at the end of the day to get this together because look at who Miami's bringing in. Miami just brought in they just re-signed Jimmy. They just brought in Victor Oladipo today as well, too. Also, they bringing Kyle Larry as well too. Team is really revamping itself to really be in the mold to be a team that can beat the Bucks and beat the Nets as well too. It's gonna be tough because the East is just a really, really good conference at the end of the day as well too. You still got the 76ers and their situation going, even though they're trying to move. Right now, they're trying to move Ben, but still, they're going to get a really good player for him as well. So that's why you say to yourself that, this is a four-way thing in the East. You really don't know what to say about the West right now because things are dependent on where Kawhi is going to land at, which is most likely back with the Clippers to become the richest player in all of basketball. I think Steph Curry just got a big deal yesterday. I think what happens when Ballmer gets down to it, he's going to wind up possibly handing Kawhi $300 million for like the next 5 years, just because, you know what I mean? So, just to keep him happy as well too. Because I don't think anybody's going to be passing up 5 year, $300 million. That's $60 million a year, right? So he ain't passing that up. So I think Ballmer will probably give him his baby, his last son, all that good stuff to keep him in LA with them. And then you also have a good situation going on in New York. My man, Kendall Walker, one of my favorites of all time, is going to be headed back to the Garden as a Knickerbocker and playing for his hometown team. The kid is from the Bronx, Harlem. He played for Rice High School as well, too, the famous Rice High School, which isn't around anymore. And it's gonna be crazy because they had an awesome show last night that literally was like all about New York rap and everything with the Locks and Dipset having their verses and everything like that. And the Locks really wore them out last night. I think that might have helped out the decision last night to bring Kemba back to the Garden. But he loves that place, and I always feel like the Knicks were just so stupid in that situation of not trading up or ever trading to get Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker has always been a guy I feel that can change the culture of the Knicks immediately because he's New York City to the bone. You know what I mean? And you got to have guys like that. And I don't think they had enough native New Yorkers on the Knicks as of late. I know they had Lance Stevenson for a while, but Lance Stevenson's a head case, but pretty much now they bring in Kemba. Kemba's going to bring some structure to this thing. They're going to be good, Mike. They're going to be really, really good with Kemba here.
I'm a fan of Kemba also, man. I like him.
Yeah.
I like him. And he's a good offensive threat, man. I mean, what can I say? He's going to be a good fit. And I like everything that you're saying about the New Yorker aspect,
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a big part of this core for the next few years here. And he's still young enough to be able to be on the Knicks for enough time to make a difference.
All right. It should be good. And then, the Heat are doing so good in free agency. It's just almost like the hits just keep getting better. You know what I mean? So pretty much, guys are loving it because now you don't have to deal with the state tax and everything like that, but you do have to deal with the humidity, though. See, yeah. There's trade-offs for all this stuff, Mike.
Always a trade-off.
It's always a trade-off for everything, Mike. So
yep.
It is what it is at the end of the day. So let's keep pushing because I'm really excited to talk about the NFL. The NBA is over with. All this free agency stuff, all this. We can get to that in a bit. But you know what, though? NFL, we only got so much time to preview these teams before we get to that first Sunday and everybody's over here losing their shirt. Okay, so pretty much with the play of the week. All right, so we got the Chargers 7-9 last season, over of 9.5 wins this year. They're coming in with one of the highly touted quarterbacks in the NFL, in Justin Herbert. They're coming in with a brand new head coach as well too. They also have pretty much some very, very good receivers as well, with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen as well. And then they have a good tight end core, just a group of tight ends as well. And they also have a significant defense that has a good secondary, some good pass rushers to it as well too. But the thing that I question most with the Chargers is something that they don't bring up a lot is the offensive line. How are they going to be able to keep Herbert upright next season? That's my biggest question. But Herbert is such a freak of nature when it comes to the quarterback position. I think that he should be very good. I think that he reminds me a lot of a quarterback that wasn't a bust. He just got hurt and got hurt pretty badly throughout his NFL career. And that's Jake Locker, who used to play for the University of Washington. And Jake Locker could have been the number 1 pick in the draft. You know what I'm talking about. He used to play for the Titans. He was a hell of a quarterback, but he had a back issue. Justin Herbert is in the same mold as him as well, too. And I think that if he's able to keep being successful, it would show that Jake Locker would have been a very successful quarterback in the NFL as well, too. Even though I felt that he was in the short period of time that he was around, but he played for the Titans when they weren't that good. I think that what happens here is that you have a Chargers team that's going to be able to kind of put their foot down a little bit because they're going to be in a good stadium and they're going to have a bit of a crowd there as well too. And, will they be able to get over the woes though? That's what I always talk about with the Chargers, the woes. And when everybody asks me what the woes are, that's losing the game in the last 2 minutes, because the Chargers have been dealing with the woes for the last 20 years, pretty much, in my opinion, Mike, where they'll be up in the game and you know that they're going to lose if that team has the final possession with 2 minutes left, or if it's a tie game, the Chargers will figure out a way to mess this thing up. What are you thinking about the Chargers this season, Mike?
Well, first of all, they're in a division with the Kansas City Chiefs. So right out of the gate, regardless of what you're hoping to be able to accomplish during the season, we already know that winning the division is not going to be happening. Right? And if you think about that from a very logical perspective, then their best case scenario is what? Getting a wild card spot. Right? So when I look at it, I'm handicapping the other teams in the league. Are outside of the division winners, are they one of the next 3 or 4 elite teams in the AFC? And I think for reasons that you mentioned, starting with the O-line, there's some question marks. Now, offensively, they actually have some pieces, Pop. I mean, their running back duo of Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson, and even if we were to go 3 deep in Joshua Kelly, they've got some pretty good running backs. Keenan Allen's proven to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And they got Jared Cook, the tight end from the Saints, the big guy. So offensively, they've got some weapons. The O-line is the big question mark. And then when it comes to defense, my question is, do they have a playmaker, the guy that is like the Palomalu, right, for the Steelers a few years back?
Or Junior,
or like the guy that we need to make a play, or Ed Reed with the Ravens a few years ago. Like that guy that somehow, some way, doesn't matter if it's a running play or a passing play, they either make the tackle, they get the pick, they get the strip, they get a sack. Somehow, some way, these guys find a way to be able to win the game when you need to win the game on defense. And the Chargers don't really have that. They need to develop that person. They need to develop an identity as a defense. Are they good run stoppers? Are they good at rushing the quarterback. I think that's probably going to be the direction that they go in, mainly because of Joey Bosa. So that's kind of my quick take on the Chargers. They could have a better than expected season, but I don't think that they nab one of those wild card spots, Pop. The other thing to keep in mind also is this. There's a reason that they have something called a sophomore jinx, right? NFL offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, I mean, they figure out offenses. They figure out quarterbacks. They put a stop to a quarterback. So to me, when we'll really find out if Justin Herbert is as good as what we saw last year is how does he look at the beginning of the season until like week 7, week 8? If we see a slumping Justin Herbert, I would expect the same for the rest of the year. And I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying we've seen it so many different times. RG3, right? Now, I know he had some injury issues, but Colin Kaepernick, how many guys have we seen, Pop, that have come in and even Lamar Jackson? I mean, guys that have come in and just killed it in their first year as starters, and then they've been shut down or not as good in the subsequent years. So to me, even though everybody thinks that the quarterback situation is now solidified for years to come, I think he still has to prove something to me, which is, how does he do longevity-wise?
I'm right there with you, and I think that pretty much the Chargers will be another middling team in the NFL this year, but they'll be improving. The Chargers will make good theater, okay? That's what I'm betting on, is that the Chargers will make good theater. But I think that if any team is going to steal the West, like I said yesterday, the Raiders are pretty much on course as doing that, because they've gone from 4-12 to 7-9, now 8-8. This is out the Gruden playbook as well, too. This happened when his first time around in Oakland, where he had to take some years to get the Raiders in shape. And now this is the year where he asked Gruden, hey, it's time to get these guys to the playoffs. And I think Gruden has the opportunity to beat his old buddy, Andy Reid, this year, just in case, because at the end of the day, I keep trying to get people to understand that Mahomes may have some issues this year, because that turf toe is just not something you recover easily from, especially after having the surgery for it as well, too. The same injury ended Patrick Willis's career, dog. So
yeah, what's up with the you covered the Raiders yesterday. What's up with the retirements?
What, the lineman?
Yeah, now you got 3 guys that are retired this training camp. What's going on there?
Well, it's Father Time, right? Father Time. Hello, Father Time. Father Time. You're undefeated. Father Time coming there like Mayweather. Ego and everything.
Father Time, nice to meet you.
Father Time, nice to meet you. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's Father Time. Hello, Father.
Yeah, the Raiders always have some weird stuff go on in camp, though, right? Antonio Brown a couple of years ago. I don't know if you saw this or not, but even now, Mayock is sheltering in place. He's got COVID, tested positive. They've had these 3 retirements. Theo Riddick was put on the retired list on Friday. He's not that old. But yeah, man, they've always got a little bit of drama that goes on during the training camp time period. I know we're supposed to be talking about the Chargers, but I mean, a big interplay is between their division, and the Raiders are a big piece of that. When are they going to stop talking smack about Derek Carr?
Never, because the thing is, Derek Carr was a guy that they felt was going to be like a 10-time MVP, 10-time Pro Bowler. There was a lot of expectations for Derek Carr, and when he broke his leg, he just hasn't ever been the same guy. Even though he did have a monster season that season, he hasn't been able to duplicate that season. But I think if you just have a little bit of patience this year, Derek Carr should be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah, I know that's a bold take right now, But I seriously do feel like if you're a quarterback that's been in this league for more than 8 to 9 years and you're playing at a consistent level, this year will be a good year for you because the NFL is in a transition point as well, too, when it comes to rules, things like that, different type of defensive schemes and things of that nature. This is going to be the kid's 4th year in the system with Gruden. Now, by this time, he should know everything with Gruden by like the back of his hand. Maybe he is, if he doesn't play such a careful game and gets back to kind of the gunslinger mentality that he had early in his career, Derek Carr will be a guy that will have a lot of people excited about moving forward because he had a lot of people excited when the Raiders almost beat the Chiefs in Vegas and then when they beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. And, you know, pretty much if anybody can slay the giant, it's Derek Carr and the Raiders in this division. And that's
look, dude. I mean, you talk about that one MVP type season, and then he got hurt. Well, the last 3 years, he's had a better rating than quarterback rating than that season. His completion percentage the last 3 years, I'm looking at it right here, 68.9%, basically 69%, 70.4%, 67.3%. I mean, this guy's between 67 and 71 3 years in a row. 4,000 yards passing 3 years in a row. The most picks he's had in a season is 10. Probably could get those down a little bit. But, you know, I think what hurt him last year was the fumbles. In 2019, he had 1. 2020, he had 8. But I think you and I know that had a lot to do with the line.
Right.
But, you know, look, Derek Carr, to his credit, lost the guy that was supposed to be his Jerry Rice to trade to the Cowboys. Let's not forget that.
Right.
That was the guy they were supposed to grow together.
And that was one of Mark Davis's boo-boos right there, too, because he got personal about that one. And that was just not good for business at all. And he thought he was trying to be like his dad and everything. And he actually shot himself in the foot with that one because they were trying to, you know, Gruden wasn't getting the answers out of him that he wanted. And, you know, and it's contract time. And they felt that he was just thinking more about the money than actually being really good. Yeah. Why can't he think about the money? You got Carr who made $125 million right in front of his face. And then you're the guy catching most of his passes. Why can't you be seen as one of the top 3 receivers in the league, just like you base him as one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league pay-wise?
For sure.
That's what you got to do when you have
I completely agree with you. And now what we've seen as the result is that in the last 3-4 years, the Raiders have blown through 2 of the top receivers in the NFL and not gotten a lot for it in Cooper and Antonio Brown.
Right.
So, I mean, like, they've had the chance to give Carr these weapons. Right. But, I mean, what have you really given him? That's the other thing. I mean, he's these numbers.
He's on the Waller now and Renfro.
I mean, Renfro was not at all a highly touted guy coming in. I liked him. I was always like, why the hell is he not even a draft prospect? Right. Why is he an undrafted free agent rating? Because I think he's going to produce in the NFL, and he has done so. But I don't think that he's like ever going to be mistaken for like a top 5 receiver in this league. I think he's a good player. He's worthy of a lot of looks from the quarterback. You know, he's the type of guy that could probably get you 70, 80 receptions. You know, to me, he's like a Don Beebe type. He's like a Cole Beasley type. Could even be, you know, Wes Welker-ish in a way. But I still think that you need to get Carr that big target. And Waller is like a receiver, but he's not a receiver. I want to see them get that speed-burning, big target, Randy Moss type. I know they don't make very many of those, but you gotta give him a receiver that could be a big target, that could really be your third and long guy and your stretch out the defense guy, you know, because we know they're out there, Pop.
Right. And Henry Ruggs, I think let's not sleep on Ruggs. Ruggs had some bright spots last year. I think that with a healthy season, he should be the guy that they drafted, what they drafted him for, because he was the best route runner coming into the draft last year. And I don't think that's going to change at any time soon. But, hey, we will see. All in all, let's see. Let's go ahead and get our doggy correspondent, since he's a Raider fan, and see what his thoughts are on.
He already said they're going to only win the division, but they're going to win the Super Bowl this year.
He said so. He's being
they're bringing it to Las Vegas. That's what the dog
he said they're bringing it to Las Vegas, so he'll be right there in the flesh over at SoFi. I'm guessing for that game, because the game's going to be in LA this year.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy if the Raiders make the Super Bowl. I'm telling you right now, hire extra security, because it's gonna get crazy. It's going to get real crazy. You know what I mean? Because I could see the parking lot now.
Oh, yeah.
It ain't going to be a pretty place. All right. So with that, let me go ahead and take a quick commercial break. I'm about 30 minutes overdue for that. So you guys stay tuned real quick. We'll be back talking about some Dodgers. Then we'll get into some baseball. And then we're going to start talking some tickets today as well, too. I got a nice chunky parlay set up for you guys. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Bengals Live, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and the man himself, Mike Abadir, and we will be right back.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll Have Another, and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Bengals Live, and as you can see, and Mike, I'm gonna get my rant on real quick because I got to send a message to the Dodger Nation real fast. I thought last night was absolutely despicable what fans were doing last night. I think that was absolutely awful. And y'all should be ashamed of yourself. You need to grow up. You need to stop thinking that you lost. You need to stop. Just let them get their due. The Astros won the series, okay? You had a game 7 at Dodger Stadium, at your stadium. You lost the game 2-1, 2-0. It don't matter. You didn't get no hits. You didn't get no runs. Everything fell apart that night. Everything fell apart in game 2 in LA as well, too. The Dodgers could have won the series in 6. But they were their own worst enemy in this situation. As a fan, what is it? Why do you have the idea to throw a chair on the field before the game starts? Come on, this is not how we act in LA at all. I love the Dodgers too, but I'm not going to jail for the Dodgers, though, at the end of the day. The Dodgers is not going to bail you out. And to top it off, they're going to ban you for 3 years because they don't want that stuff at their stadium. Then last night, you got fights left and right. The guy's trying to walk out. You got Dodger fan headbutt him right in front of security as he's walking out. You know, this is just what is wrong with you people? That's dude, you lost. Get over it. You're the defending world champions. Why are you still thinking about old shit? Yeah, pardon my French, but you know, why you still bringing up old shit? Like in my Rick James voice, you know what I mean? Get over it. It's done for. You've been in 3 of the last 4 World Series as is. Get over it, Los Angeles. Okay? And that's it, Mike. Go ahead.
I agree with you, man. It's bring the booze. Bring the boo birds. Right? If you want to give these guys a hard time because they're in Dodger Stadium and you haven't had a chance to boo them yet, go for it. But I don't understand the whole going to jail thing for something like that. Like, come on, man. Like you're rooting for grown men that hit a ball with a wood stick. You go to jail for that?
Right.
Really? Like, come on. You know, that makes no sense. And by the way, they're banning guys for more than 3 years nowadays. That guy that threw something at Verdugo in Yankee Stadium, they banned him for life. So they're taking some pretty quick, fierce action against some of these jokers that are pulling this kind of stuff. So I think the bigger concern, though, Pop, is that the Dodgers just aren't able to make up any ground. It seems like every time the Giants win, the Dodgers win. Every time the Giants lose, the Dodgers lose. And they're still hovering in that 3 to 3.5 game behind clip. And every 10 games that comes off of the schedule and you stay 3.5 games back makes it a little bit more difficult to be able to climb ahead of them. That's kind of the issue. See, I could tell Pop is so distraught about it. He's talking to himself. He's talking to the wall.
I'm not talking to myself. I'm talking to one of the executive producers over here. That's who I was talking to. I said, "Why'd you walk out while I was on this rant?" You know what I mean? So pretty much, I ain't talking to myself. Somebody's in here with me.
Okay. But the Dodgers are going to have to start making up some ground at some point. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, 3.5 games, but with every 10 games that comes off the calendar, it becomes that much more of a difficult task. You know, when you say, "Oh, we got 100 games left," and then 80, and now T-minus 60, right? Then you get to the point where the Dodgers have to make up a game every so many days just to even get tied with them.
Right.
Or to get ahead of them. And they only have one more series against them.
Right.
So it's not like they've got a lot of head-to-heads against them. So now with that said, I mean, how many times have we seen it that going into September, the team is like 3 or 4 back and the division leader chokes and has like a 5-game losing streak and the other team gets hot and has a 5-game winning streak. But what if the Giants don't have that losing streak? What if the Giants just play 520 baseball? Be very respectable. 520 baseball means that the Dodgers are going to have to, win like at a 580, 600 clip here on out, which they could do, but they better start doing it.
Well, the Dodgers have an extended lead in the wild card situation. So that's kind of secure, the wild card situation for them. So I know they want the division and everything like that, but they know at the end of the day, if they got to play a wild card game, they can most likely.
Yeah, but Pop, they're too good of a team to be in a situation where they got to rely on one game.
Right, understood.
And the funny thing is, though, they'd actually be a better fit for a one-game playoff than the Giants would. Giants easily could lose a one-gamer. The Dodgers have too many weapons to lose a one-gamer. Anything can happen, of course, but I think the Dodgers are better situated to. I mean, who's your ace of the? You're going to throw out Gausman? I mean, Gausman's been great. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I wouldn't put any money on Gausman in a one-game playoff.
Well, they can. Cole Hamels just got signed today. I know he's ancient, but still, it's the old money ball situation. It's about what you know, it ain't about what you were. And then you also have Dan Duffy as well too, who can step in as a starter as well too. And Gosselin shouldn't even be on your radar. Gosselin is going to be a spot starter.
No, I'm talking about Kevin Gausman on the Giants.
Gausman. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, the Dodgers are fine.
Right, but
I was saying it's ironic in that the Dodgers may end up being the team in the one-game playoff.
Right.
Not the Giants. But ironically, I think the Giants would lose the 1-game playoff and not the Dodgers. I can't hear.
I think the Dodgers will probably put together their best month of the season this month. They have everything intact. They don't know when Kershaw is coming back, but I think Mad Max is going to be an inspirational start tonight. Get guys motivated. They should sweep out the weekend, and they should start making a big move here. And they're going to have to win their next series against the Giants to really say that, okay, we have a shot here. But they still got 60 days to do it, and I think that it will not be a problem for them to do it.
Okay, so let me ask you this: when is the time to put to stop giving Bellinger some at bats? Because right now they're wasted at bats.
Yeah, and I think
right now I'm watching this guy, and he's chasing bad pitches, and when he's making contact, he's popping up.
Well, you know what? If Dave Roberts can go ahead and kind of take his loyalty button off a little bit and start putting in guys that are going to be a bit better at the spot. That's why you got Trey Turner here now. You got the kid from the Mets who can be moved around everywhere. So I think at the end of the day, the Dodgers will be absolutely fine. But you're right, though. They do need to start telling themselves when is enough enough. You know what I mean? Maybe this is not the year for Cody Bellinger because he's still dealing with other injuries. That's the whole thing. I think he still has the nagging injuries, and he's just trying to play through it, be a tough baseball guy. But it's not working, Mike. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just might need to say, okay, you know what? I'm not good right now. I need about a month or two off. Or, you know what? Send me down to AAA to the AAA, or send me on over here to it's not Palmdale, but send me to Rancho Cucamonga and let me see if I can get the swing back together. Or send me over to Albuquerque real quick. Let me see if I can get my swing back together for the next 2-3 weeks with these guys. It's not a down play for you to do that or anything. You're still young in your career. So, I think that should work out. But a lot of people have been asking me, when will it be the point to where we just say, Cody Bellinger, I don't know if he might be the guy for this situation at this point.
Well, it's kind of interesting to me because what the heck happened to the MVPs, man? Just 2-3 years ago, it was Yelich and Bellinger.
Right.
I don't remember ever seeing a fall from grace this dramatic for young MVP candidates like this that have just fallen off a cliff. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't, but you know what? We're dealing with the new MLB, where it's the new flavor of the week every year.
Sure. Well, and if you go by the way the year before,
right,
you could include Giancarlo Stanton in that.
Right. We got the flavor of the week. The last 5 years, it's been a flavor of the week. But we all know the most consistent player in baseball who's a part of this new movement of baseball players, not the old guys like Pujols and guys that have been here since the early 2000s. Mike Trout, and he's not even playing right now because he's hurt. You know what I mean? Mike Trout is the natural, in my opinion. And, there goes another guy that's out right now. And it's just that the way that the injuries have been working on these guys, they've been just terrible. Even Bryce Harper is kind of taking 2 steps back a little bit while he's been in Philadelphia with that big contract. Manny Machado used to be seen as a big-time guy as well, too. But, he's playing second fiddle to Tatis at the moment. So, the list goes on and on, but we got Shotani, Mike. Shotani is straight out of a Negro League playbook. Boy, I'm telling you, playing both sides.
Yeah,
I mean, hey, he would, if you put him back in the past, he would fit right into that league with Satch and all the old guys. That I think he would prefer that league over the major leagues because they definitely back in the day wouldn't let him be pitching and hitting like that.
Do they have any Asians in the Negro League?
No.
Do they have any Asians in the Negro League?
Hey, I don't know. Maybe one was a little dark enough, but they didn't have none.
Maybe we can go back in time and see,
Yeah, man. Well, you can throw one in there, but they wouldn't be discriminative, though. I know they would be like, you can move fast. Shit, you can play.
There you go. You're right, though. He is a throwback for sure. He is a throwback. Shohei Ohtani is a throwback to that legendary time period. You're absolutely right. You could throw, you could hit, you could field, you could steal, you could do it all.
When baseball was the star of the world.
Yep.
And when baseball was the sport, because you try to throw some football back in the day in somebody's face. Oh, I don't want to see those barbarians throwing each other up and down the field. Big dummies, because they were big dummies though too.
Yes.
They're very stupid. I'm gonna run your head into the. See, they think hits are hard now. No, those hits were brutal.
Yep,
dudes died on the field back then.
Well, speaking of hits, let's hit some plays.
Yes, let's hit some plays. You know what? We'll skip through the preview. We'll just get to the ticket. And pretty much there we are tonight, Mike. We got the Orioles plus 220 tonight. We got the Marlins plus 1.5 tonight. We also have the Cardinals plus 100. And we also have the over 8 with the Angels and the Rangers tonight. And we have the 1.5 spread on the White Sox. And then we end up with the Dodgers, not the Dodgers, but under 8.5 with the Giants and the D-backs for a 74-1 ticket. What are you thinking of that, Mike?
Well, first, we didn't have a show last week together, so I got to give you some major props. If the viewers remember, or if you didn't tune in 2 Wednesdays ago, Pop gave a long shot play, baseball-wise a long shot, right? Baseball long shots are, what would you categorize it at? Anything plus 200 or above would be kind of a baseball long shot, in my opinion. And Pop picked one. I think it was a plus 260, 270, 280, somewhere in that window was the Cleveland Indians playing against the Houston Astros. And the Astros were kind of coming off of some pretty big wins. They'd rebounded after getting dusted by some bad teams, and then they got things back on track. And the Indians tossed out there. They threw out to the pitcher that was a kind of a no-name, unheard-of guy. I think it was his first or second start of his career. The first one wasn't very good. And Pop nailed it, said the Indians are the play tonight on the money line, not even the run line. So big props to you, my man. You uncovered these diamonds like no other.
Well, we did the Mariners Sunday. So, I mean, not Sunday, but Monday we did the Mariners. And I messed up a little bit. I said I had the Orioles in play as well, too. And let me tell you why I'm taking the Orioles tonight. We skipped the preview tonight, but there's a reason why I'm taking the Orioles. Big reason is because it seems like the pitcher of Gotham has returned.
Yeah.
Matt Harvey has had 3 scoreless games, 6 innings, good 6 innings he's going as well, too. And I think that this is something that you have to really factor into tonight. And you saw that the Orioles were able to have batting practice the other night in the Bronx. It could possibly happen again because they got Tallian on the mound.
Hey, man, if he is able to, on the road, silence the Yankees bats, I think that would be kind of a telling statement and maybe suggestive of the fact that he's found a way to kind of correct his mechanics and get past the injuries and be the guy that he used to be, man. Batman might be back.
I think that he was playing well because he knew it was a trade deadline, and then he wound up not getting traded. He probably thought he was going to get traded too.
I would have traded for him.
Maybe the Angels.
The only place he'd be traded to is to the minor leagues.
Man, he could have got traded to the Mariners.
Traded to the minors. That would be the only trade that was going to happen with him. But I'm happy that he's found his groove again. Yeah,
but hey, me too. I'm really happy for the guy as well too. And I think that tonight is a good night for this pick 6, 74-1. I think that we're in a good place, Mike. I think we're in a good headspace as well too. Marlon's looking to keep up the good work against the Mets as well too. So, we got a lot of things working out in our favor today, Mike. So I think that things will work out. And all in all, pretty much we've been on for a little bit. We've been doing this for a while today. So we only had to do one commercial today, Mike. So pretty much we'll get you back next Wednesday. Maybe I'll be able to get some structure to the show and actually do some 5-minute segments with you. But, hey, it is what it is at the end of the day. The people enjoy it. They love it. And, hey, the views are making up for it. So it's all good, brother.
Absolutely, man. And there might be some Del Mar involved with some horsing around, maybe even some live Del Mar coverage perhaps this weekend.
Yeah, man. Well, if that happens, because I'm trying to go in half seas with you to do the whole Soldier of the Week. I don't want to say it wrong or anything like that. Like Soldier of the Week, person from the base outside of next door to the race.
Camp Pendleton. Yep.
Yeah, Camp Pendleton, Player of the Week or something. But I'm just joking around. Be the military person of the week. But hopefully, me and Mike can go ahead and put some good things together for you. On Saturday, there's going to be a nice little stakes day, but we're putting it together. Hopefully, I have my fly suit on. It's not going to be too hot down at Del Mar where the surf meets the turf, and we can go ahead and try to win us some money.
Looking forward to it, my man.
All right, brother. So there it is. Another great show with my man Mike Abadir. We'll have him back Wednesday as well too, but we'll have some things going on this weekend. Hopefully, maybe I might be on Gino's Del Mar show as well too Friday. So you guys be on the lookout for that. I was supposed to be on there, and you might catch me on Mike's show tomorrow at 4:00 Pacific time, 7:00 Eastern time. And Mike's show is always awesome. So pretty much if you catch me on there, we'll be talking some great topics. And hey, it is what it is at the end of the day. I thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And once again, making the show that much better today, my main man, the sports aficionado himself, Mike Abadir.
Thanks,
and
Pop.
Hey, you're very welcome, brother. And you guys make sure to tune into Mike's show tomorrow as well, too. And get them retweets out for Mike as well, too. You guys, man, make sure you guys represent, get on that 100X coin app as well, too. And so you guys can make you some more money in that department as well, too. But with that, we are gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.